For the year of 2020, $300 is the amount of money I gave myself at the start of the year. That was the only money I could spend on video games. And so, 12 months have now passed. Of the $300 I started with, only $5.25 remain. In case you're wondering, yes, that number is lower than it was last month. I just decided to spend the last of what I had on something. So I bought Hades. I don't think I have the time to go in depth with a game for this time, so I'll just say, Hades good. So for one final time, I'm here to talk about my experiences of being on a gaming budget during the year of 2020. So what did I think? What did I learn? To start off, I think we should talk about how 2020 was a year of strife for many people. The common issue that affected us all was that of the COVID-19 virus. Orders from the government to stay home, not going out unless it was absolutely necessary, and to take multiple precautions when going outside. This put a large strain on the economy and caused many people to lose their jobs or even enter a job market that was more uncertain than ever. Basically, if there was ever a time to just engage in the conversation of what video games are coming out, it would have been this year. Instead, I arbitrarily turned my YouTube channel into a gimmick account that couldn't afford to buy every new game people were talking about at the risk of being exposed as a hack. It's not like I could have known about this stuff happening before the year started, but I wish I could have done more to alleviate the stress by playing a cool new video game to distract myself. Although I suppose that could be my own fault. As with a bit of different planning, I might have been able to branch out a little more. $300 was a bit too constrictive in hindsight. Really, I could have set any amount of money in terms of the imposed budget, but I wanted to strike a balance between feeling comfortable enough to spend money regularly, but having enough to play all the games I still wanted this year. I knew I was going to go through a good chunk of money pretty fast, but I did not expect to blow through as much as I did before April. So when more games I was interested in were confirmed to come out late in the year, I didn't have enough money to spend on them. Had I the opportunity to talk to myself 1 year prior, I definitely would have suggested a bump up with how much I would work with. I might have set it up to $500, which I think would have been enough to squeeze in some new purchases in the middle months of the year, and maybe just barely squeeze in Yakuza or Hyrule Warriors in the last minute. But at the beginning of the year, I did think I could only make it off $300, especially considering what the initial reason was for doing this challenge in the first place, even though that reasoning also fell flat. Because I own a lot of video games, that also means I'm in possession of many games I haven't played, or have not devoted enough time to. Even if you're not a gamer, you probably have a stack of books yet to be read, or movies that need to be watched. The idea was that if I'm not playing many new games this year, then I can finally devote time to some of the old games that are taking up space on my shelf. Weirdly enough, this didn't really happen. Of the 36 games I finished this year, only 24 were ones I finished for the first time. And yet I can really only classify 5 of those being in my backlog. What I didn't really account for is that there were a number of experiences I desired to replay. This is nothing new. I do love to go back and play old games I've already finished. But there was a different feeling I had going back that was noticeably less present this year. Because I purchased new games quite irregularly, I was playing each one. Since there wasn't an influx of new games coming in that I wasn't neglecting, I didn't feel a sense of guilt whenever I did play a game I had already experienced before. I played Resident Evil 4 a rather disgusting number of times this year, and I didn't feel bad at any point about wanting to replay it. I revisited Tales of Symphonia this year, did 2 playthroughs on my own, and still stuck around to watch some friends stream the whole thing themselves. Heck, for my retrospectives for the Mega Man Legends series, I played each of those games at least twice, for all the content they were worth. At no point did I ever feel like I was wasting my time on something I had already experienced, which is something I really can't say I've felt since maybe about 2016. But as nice of a feeling as that is, I don't think it was ultimately worth the price I paid. And I'm not talking about a literal price. About halfway through the year, I was already thinking about how much this challenge has impacted me. I felt overall really positive about it, and I imagined that by the end of the year, I would recommend to others consider this challenge for themselves. Now, I cannot. The longer this challenge went on, and the closer I got to running out of money, the more I found this challenge stupid. It was really frustrating that games were coming out that I genuinely had interest in playing, but I couldn't. Not out of a real financial constraint or lack of time on my part, but because I was adhering to a challenge that I only set upon myself. I knew that there was the possibility I would eventually run out of money and need to skip a game that I wanted to play. Granted, I had more than a few this year. But when taken out of context, there was absolutely no real reason why I couldn't go out and purchase Yakuza Like a Dragon and play it as soon as I could. So rest assured that going forward, as long as I can help it, I will never do this challenge ever again. Nor would I recommend this to anyone else. That being said, going forward, I think I'm going to ask a certain question much more often. Do I really want this? As I am something of a video game reviewer on YouTube, I do like to try and keep up with the current hits. If there's a game that everyone is excited for and talking about, I will buy the game for myself in order to form my own opinion. This has led me to buying a lot of games that I didn't really want to play outside of saying that I did. While this has paid off in the past and I ended up finding really cool gems outside of my comfort zone, I also ended up playing more games that I just don't like and feel like I wasted a purchase on. But this year, I really didn't feel the pressure to do so. Now that I have more experience of knowing what my life is like when I don't get these bigger deals, it'll be a lot easier to ask the question, do I really want this? As frustrated as it ended up making me, gaming on a budget in the year of 2020 had a positive impact on me. Despite all the grief this challenge has caused me, I still ended up saving a lot of money in the long run. Out of curiosity, I actually calculated how much I spent on video game stuff within the past few years. And between 2017 and 2019, the money I spent on video games averaged out to more than $1,000 per year. So it's clear-cut, absolutely a huge amount of money I did save because I was limiting myself. And that is something that is quite eye-opening. Because I was able to coast through a whole year spending 60% less than I usually do, I knew that going forward, I don't have to invest as much as I used to. So going forward, I want to live a much more thrifty lifestyle. There is so much that competes for our time, attention, and even money. So in the future, I hope to buy only the games that really mean something to me personally. So I just bought 5 copies of Shovel Knight.